So Apple has just released their new MacBook Pro 14-inch and 16-inch with the M3, the M3 Pro and the M3 Max processors. And we're just going to have a look around and see what's been changed. So one of the new changes is notable, this new space black colorway, which you can see here. It looks very nice, to be honest with you, but I believe it's only on the Max and the Pro models of the M3 and not the standard model of the M3. That's just going to be the normal silver and space grey. We also have up to 22 hours of battery life, but it's only on the starter model and the end model. The other one's 18 hours, which I find a bit... Why couldn't you get 22 for both? But anyways, we also have a new display along with ray tracing, which is going to be pretty cool. As you can see, here's a look at the new I/O. So we now have a few more Thunderbolt ports, as well as our MagSafe 3, and the SD card slot, and the HDMI. I'm so glad about more slots on a MacBook Pro, because there just isn't enough. So as we can see here, these are the different chips, the M3, the M3 Pro, and the M3 Max, and we can see that you can get these different CPU cores and GPU core SKUs, and you can get up to 128GB of RAM with the Max. And these are different limitations to the others. Of course, you have to keep upgrading the RAM as the typical Apple way. You have to just pay for the extra configurations. So we also have game-changing graphics performance, apparently. Along with that, we have ray tracing, which is cool. 2.95x faster rendering according to this 16-inch MacBook Pro. That's like against it. That's cool, faster rendering times are always a good thing. And they seem to be pushing it a bit more for games. I don't know, they were doing this more in the iPhone 15 Pro launcher, saying like, oh, getting some console games on the iPhone. I don't know if it's necessarily a good thing. Yeah, games on a good fit, like a good extra. But personally, I don't like the PC game at all. I like to have just like a console for that. I just don't really care for gaming on my like work machine, or, you know, I like to have one thing for work and another thing for like play. But more graphics performance is always welcomed. Like this hardware accelerated ray tracing, you know, which is going to give you some pretty cool things. They show a few different things off down here with Cinema 4D, and it does look pretty cool. I personally don't do any like things with Cinema 4D or any like 3D graphics software. And of course they're pushing it, saying an 80% faster CPU. But that is against like multi-threaded workloads with this against this particular MacBook Pro. And they don't say which one they're pegging it against, which you can imagine it's the top of the line M3 versus the top of the line M1. So that's how they're getting there. There's longer battery. A long battery is always welcome. Seriously, I am the M1 MacBook Pro now, and battery is really good to begin with. I don't have any issues with my battery. Longer is always more welcome, of course, though. But the MacBook Pro batteries are definitely always been good, I think. And of course, they bang on here about like how it can be used for different software, editing, photo editing. I don't know why this part of the website won't load for me. I have no idea. Oh, that one has. Yeah. It talks about different productivity things like people are already using Macs for to begin with. And these are the configurations. As you can see here, this is what I was talking about before, with the different colours aren't available on the base model. And also the 13-inch MacBook Pro is now dead, which is kind of a weird thing to think about, because that's been a staple of like MacBook Pro sizes for such a long time. But it's now seems to be the 14 and the 16. I get that. I get why it's only a 1-inch difference. But believe me, now the starting price for a new MacBook Pro is a lot more than it used to be. But you do get extra storage on the base model now. You get about 512. You get 512 gig SSD on the base one, whereas normally if you play the Apple math, you used to get 256, and it's about a $200 pound upgrade depending where you are in the world. And they're also saying they've improved the display on the laptop, which I don't doubt. It's got extreme dynamic range XDR with this liquid retina display. With also ProMotion and all their fancy gimmicky stuff. But to be honest with you, any screen that Apple makes is pretty good. I have no question that this will be an amazing screen. They're showing how it's built and all these different layers, which, I quite like mini LEDs, and also up to 120Hz refresh rate. I suppose that falls more in line with people who might want a game on their MacBook. 1080p front camera, 3 mic array, and 6 speaker system, which I think is a new thing, having more than just a couple of speakers on the MacBook. And as you can see here, we also have SDXC, Bluetooth 5.3, Wi-Fi 6E, and I believe you can power up to 1 extra display on the base model, 2 on the middle one, and up to 4 on the is it the Max or the Pro? I've honestly forgotten how they order these things. It's on the Max processors. I believe that you can have up to 4 displays at once, which is pretty impressive from a laptop. They've got Touch ID button. This is very similar to that one. It's on the iMac keyboard. There is also new iMacs, but I'm not really need to talk about them. It's a very similar design. There doesn't seem to be any new colours, except of course some price changes and stuff to fit in line with the M3 line. As I don't believe there was an M2 iMac. It was just the standard lineup for the standard M1 for the iMac. But yeah, there's a little bit more on the spec sheet here. One thing I will say about this whole Apple Silicon thing is you can't really stack them up the same against other CPUs. Of course, in real world testing is where they really shine, show what's good and what's bad and what works better on maybe Windows versus Mac. But it's kind of hard as even a consumer to say, oh right, 8-core CPU, is that the same as a M2 8-core CPU? I feel like that's a little bit more complicated for people that aren't in the know. But yeah, there's a little bit more about the screen, which does look really cool. I'd like to see this in person at some point, but I can't believe they're still standard, on the base model, 8GB. If you're in the UK, this is a £1,700 laptop that comes with 8GB of RAM. Let that sink in. That is it's 200 for the upgrade to 16, and it's can we not get 16 as standard? I just feel like 16 should be standard for the price. I don't know about you guys. But yeah, we're getting Type-C. This is a Type-C charger as well, is it? And here we have a little bit more about this here. So the 22 hours is on Apple TV movie app playback. 15 hours web browsing. So if you buy a standard M3, you only get 2 Thunderbolt/USB 4 ports. If you buy a Pro or a Max, you get 3, which seems a bit tight. I don't know why I can't just put 3 on all, because to be honest with you, 2 is a bit limiting. You really need more than 2, but I'm glad about the SD card slot coming back, because that has been a bit of a pain. So as you can see here, there's a little bit more spec about the limitations of I can't even really call them limitations, but how many displays at what resolutions at what refresh rates you can have running out of the different CPUs, it's really impressive, really, to have all that inside a laptop. I think it's great. But I'm curious to know, guys, what is your thought on the new M3? I didn't think we were going to see this just yet. I thought maybe it'd be spring, maybe before any sort of new laptop update from Apple. But what do you guys think? Let me know in the comments below, and I'll see you next time.